how to embody states. And that's what this video is going to be about. And we're going to do a deep dive in a new format that I hope you guys like. And if you do, by the way, let me know in the comments, okay? So today's lesson plan, so we can get right into the video, is going to be covering quite a few things in detail, okay? So the first thing we're going to focus on is what is a state. The second thing is going to be how to embody states. And I'm going to show you various different ways to do it that is fun and natural and easy for everybody. And no, it's not effort based. And the third thing is going to be daily application for results, because obviously you guys are watching this because you want results, and we all want the things that we want in life. So without further ado, let's jump into it. And before we do, all I ask is if you gain anything of value from this video, anything inspires you, you learn something new, whatever it may be, just hit that like button, so the same way that I found you, it can help other people and change their lives. And you guys have been doing so great at that, honestly. By the way, the amount of likes I've been getting lately is insane, so thank you. So without further ado, you already know I'm Michael from embodythestate.com. And if you need any help, obviously that's where you go and you can book me, okay? So let's go on to the next part. So the first part is what is a state, right? And I hope you guys, by the way, like, please let me know in the comments if you genuinely like this style, because we're also going to be doing some visuals in the next slide. And we're going to go into detail about stuff. So with that being said, I pretty much need to know your guys' feedback so that we can kind of know how to move this channel forward, okay? So what is a state? With the state, obviously, it could be many things, right? Some people think a state is, for example, like a feeling. Some people think a state is something else. Truthfully, as Neville says, a state is made up of a body of beliefs, period. So a state is just a body of beliefs. We know this. We know that a state is just you having awareness of being something and believing in things. And if that's the case, then we understand, okay, when we embody a state, we're pretty much embodying new beliefs. And that's what I want you guys to take from this. You're always just focusing your beliefs and changing them, because it's the beliefs that are what shape reality, right? Your thoughts, your emotions, and your expectations, these are all things that you can use as tools to kind of change your beliefs. But at the core of everything, it's the belief that is the reason that things change or don't change, okay? Nothing ceases to be, because all things exist in eternity and can be brought into being. That's from Neville Goddard as well. Think about that, guys. Nothing ceases to be. Like, what's that first part telling you? That means everything already is, right? Nothing doesn't, like, nothing, how do I explain it? It's like nothing doesn't exist. Yeah, I guess that's the way to say it, right? And all things exist in eternity. So if we understand this, then we realize, wait a second, he's talking about creation is finished. Then it's like, okay, so if creation is finished and states are just sets of beliefs, then how do we combine these two to kind of, embody states and get our results, which we're going to get into? So, and as I put here, if this is true, that means everything is available for us to identify with. So if we know that everything is available for us to identify with, then we realize life is a choice, right? And there's a lecture that I've done a video on before, and I'm going to bring a quote up that kind of touches on how to put this thing together and what we are. And it's a really good piece of the lecture that I love sharing. And it's a little bonus quote I put in for you guys. And the quote says, "So look upon creation as finished, and you and I are only selectors of that which is. By selectors, I mean that you and I have the privilege. We may not exercise it, but it is our privilege to select that aspect of reality to which we will respond. And in responding to it, we will bring it into existence for ourselves." That was from Neville Goddard, and that's from the Seed Time and Harvest lecture. And when you kind of understand, like, what is he saying there? We're not creating anything, we're just selecting. Then you realize, okay, so it's not about creating things and trying to force things into existence. If you look at the quote before this one, right? And the Neville Goddard quote where it says nothing ceases to be because all things exist in eternity and can be brought into being, that ties in with the we're only selectors, which selectors, and as he says, I mean that you and I have the privilege to select that aspect of reality to which we will respond. That means when we identify and we think of other probable realities, we can choose to identify and react to those, which is us responding. And by us responding, that's us changing our belief system in that moment. So when you start practicing focusing on creation as finished as an aspect in its entirety, as a concept, and you understand what that means, which means that all probabilities exist, that health that you want exists, that SP you want and you two happy together exists, that amount of money you want to be making per month exists, everything is there for the taking, right? That's why, it's your birthright. So when you understand that we're not creating these things, we're simply reflecting what already is, what's already created. Because the hard part is done. The creation is finished, right? You're not creating anything. You're reflecting it, and your filters are your beliefs, and your beliefs, they filter out everything that isn't aligned with your belief system. So that's why Neville touches on embodying states again and again and again, because when you do this, that makes those beliefs natural. So when you embody a state, you embody beliefs. When you embody beliefs dominantly, it becomes habitual, which then reflects into your new reality. And this does not have to take months and years. It just takes consistency, one day at a time, okay? So let's go to the fun part. Ooh, the screen just got bright. Okay, so with this, and I know you guys are just staring right now at a blank screen. Don't worry, we're gonna add some fun stuff to it. And this is the first time I've ever done this live recording this, so bear with me. Like this is the most inexperienced I've ever been at doing this. So you're seeing me at my worst, and I think we're doing pretty good so far. So with that being said, I'm gonna use blue. I don't know why every time I think of states, just this color of blue pops up. So I put a dot there, and you guys might be thinking, what the hell are we doing staring at a dot? Like, you have everyone, thousands of people just staring at a dot right now. And yeah, that's pretty cool. But we're gonna make a point. So this dot right here is your 3D reality. This is your current life. It symbolizes where you are right now. It's one possibility out of infinite possibilities. Like, really, I want you to understand that it's just one. Okay. So when you understand it's one possibility, and you kind of like, you fail to see it, especially those of you that are afraid right now. But what you're doing, when especially when you're afraid, is you fail to understand that there is a bunch of other possibilities. So a lot of you right now watching this video, let's see. So this is what happens. We're zooming in. This is the equivalent of zooming in, right? And what's happening the more we zoom in and we get closer to the dot? The dot gets bigger, right? So we're just going to go outwards, 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 keep going, keep going. We're going to keep filling it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you get the idea, right? So the closer we get and the more focused we are on it, guess what's happening? At one point, white was the dominant color on the board, and now it's just blue. Blue's taking over, okay? Blue just went crazy. It just it went crazy, and that's where we are, okay? So you get the gist. Just imagine the whole screen is now blue. So that's us looking at the 3D, and we're so enveloped by it. It devoured us, and we're so focused on it. All we see is blue. All we see is blue. In other words, the 3D, the experiences, the reality that we dislike. Those, in other words, what we don't want. And we're seeing it, and we're focusing on it, and we're reacting to it again and again and again. So by doing that, you're failing to do what's here. Sorry, let me bring this back actually. Oh, sorry about that. That's so weird. I didn't know. Okay, sorry, I have to bring it. Oh, I have to click it all back. That's interesting. See, now I learned. Okay, so with that being said, it's like you're ignoring all that when you go to the blue and then you see that, and you're facing the 3D, and it's all you can focus on. You're completely forgetting creation is finished right down here, the bonus quote, right, of how we're selectors of all of that already is, right? We're selectors of creation is finished, which means the hard part is done. We just have to identify internally with what we want, instead of honing in and only seeing that blue dot as if it's the whole and only possibility. Okay, so you guys are forgetting to kind of apply that, right? When you go back to that slide and then you bring it back to this one, you realize, wait a minute, okay, it's like now it makes sense. When all I focus on is that one little dot, then that little dot, like seems like it's the only thing, and it makes me afraid, and it makes me feel like I can't do this and I can't manifest this, and that, no other dots exist, meaning states or probable realities. But let me show you the truth. Clear. All right, there we go. We did it. So right here, right, we're back to square one, and now we're going to look at things from the eyes of God. And I'm going to show you something, right? So right here is the dot, and this might be the current reality. Let's just say everybody watching this is not happy with their reality. We all have something we want to manifest. So this is us aware of our current reality. And we can choose to zoom in, and if we do, it's going to be the same crappy mess where the whole screen turns blue, right? And all we focus on is the problem and the negatives, and that's it. We're not able to enjoy our inner world. In other words, creation is finished. So instead, we're like, okay, let's remember that what we can do is we can zoom out. And when you zoom out, you see two dots. You're like, wait a second. So it's like, imagine you're on Earth, and then you zoom out, and then you just see Earth from space. You only see one Earth. Then you zoom out more, and that's the equivalent. We now see two Earths beside each other. And you're like, wait a second. Let's zoom out a bit more. Now you see three, and then four, and then five. And then before you know it, the more you zoom out, you start noticing, oh my God, like look at all these different states of consciousness, right? And trust me, this is going to be cool coming up. So, for those of you that are just audio and not listen or watching right now, I'm just drawing on a board a bunch of blue dots, which are going to symbolize states of consciousness and beliefs and probable realities. And the final show is coming, so don't worry. So right now we have a bunch of probable realities. Every single dot is a probable reality. It is creation is finished. It is the good and the bad. All these dots are not just good realities. Some of them are bad. Some of them are good. Some of them are just meh. So I think we got enough dots, right? You guys get the point. Okay, sorry. Got a little carried away there. And now I love this tool, the highlight tool. So boom. Here's the fun part. Okay. So we're now aware, right? So this is how I view life. So when a problem pops up, right, and it's a problem that I can use the law towards, I understand this is what I do. I go boom, I zoom out. This is what I mean when I say I remember who I am. I remember that, wait a second, I'm God in a human vessel. I created Earth, and these laws, such as gravity, that you don't see but you know exist, and same thing, law of assumption, so on and so on. And I limited myself so that I could experience being human and vulnerable and realize that I am God and that this is a training ground for, as Neville says, God for image making, or Seth says that we're in a kindergarten or a training ground for gods in training. And they all say the same thing. And when I zoom out and I remember these things, that's how I view life. I'm like, okay, yeah, the problem is right here, right? In the middle, the original blue dot. But I recognize, wait, there's all these other dots, all these other probable realities. So what I start doing is throughout my day, whenever I am aware of the problem, and if I'm genuine about manifesting this desire, I understand number one, as soon as it pops up, I have a choice, right? So let's say, let me use, like, I'll highlight first, and this one will be, okay, purple. Let's say, um, this one right here, this little dot right there that I just highlighted purple, right? So right there, that's the negative. If I was to then be in the middle state, right in the original reality that I'm in now, and then I focus on the problem, I just activated and gave life to that reality. And I just pretty much said, bring it to me in the future. And unless I contradict it, it's going to arrive 100%. So with that being said, let's go now to the opposite, to let's do the good part now. But if instead I catch myself focusing on the negative and I recognize that doesn't serve me at all, I don't want to go to the purple reality that I activated and gave life to. I don't want that. Instead, I understand, wait a second. If creation is finished and all things exist and nothing ceases to exist and it's all there for the taking and I can select it, why on earth would I sit here focusing on the problem after I read that Neville literally said your attention or awareness is the sap of life that keeps problems in my life? So I understand right then and there. I cut it off and I go straight to where I'd prefer. And let's say I like over here, boom. And just like that, it turned yellow. I activated it. Wish fulfilled. Boom. That's a score on the board, right? And then maybe 20 minutes later, the goal pops up in my head, right? Let's say it's an SP. She pops up in my head, and then boom, just like that, I feel the wish fulfilled. And yeah, I'm only here for a few seconds, and then I'm back in the middle. But I'm not in the negative. I'm just neutral. And the same concept, right? Creation is finished, which means yes, right now I may have this problem, but I understand that in other realities, I have it here. And boom, just like that, I felt the relief. And we're going to get into how to embody and feel the relief, so don't worry. But you get the idea, right? So all I'm doing is boom, wish fulfilled again, boom, wish fulfilled again, wish fulfilled again. Maybe an hour later, wish fulfilled again. And maybe 3 hours later, I think about, the goal. Maybe it's money this time, and then wish fulfilled. And maybe an hour later, something about health pops up, and I understand why health, if I had a health issue, why it is. And I understand that there's specific reasons for health issues. And it's actually very easy to fix for the most part. But I would understand, okay, I'm going to identify with these different beliefs that I understand I need in order to get my health better. So it's just like that. You notice a pattern. So at the end of the day, and let's say I'm not going to be perfect, right? So let's say I make some mistakes and I react negatively one more time, two more times, three more times. Okay, so in total it should be four purple dots, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So obviously I fulfill myself a lot sometimes. So let's just add a few more yellows just to be safe. So this is like an average day for me, right? And let's take a look on the map. These are all realities and I'm in the middle, right? And I obviously want to go to any yellow reality, right? And we're going to start connecting some dots. And we're going to do, hey, I guess we'll do it with yellow. I don't want to make it that thingy. Okay. So let's say I'm in the middle and then I want to go here. And then I think of my goal and then I want to go here. And then once more, I think of my goal and I have the option. I can go here or I can go boom. That's where I reacted bad. And it's like, okay, I understand. No problem, because I'm going to go the other way many more times today. So I'm not stressed. And you're starting to see a pattern. Objective pops up in my head, boom, there's only one objective, and that's what I want. Objective pops in my head again when I crave it, and I have the mood to embody it, same thing. I go there. Again, same thing. Again, same thing. Same thing, and one more same thing, right? So you start noticing a pattern. Isn't there a lot of more yellow than there is like purple dots? Look at the strings going to the yellow compared to the strings going to the purple, right? There's not that many going to the purple. And when you realize that, you're like, okay, so at the end of a day, this is a good day. And this is what mental diet looks like, right? And I kind of hope that got the picture across to you. It's very simple. And I want you to just look at it like every time you embody a state, meaning you think of the objective and then you contemplate, what would it feel like if I genuinely had the solution right now instead of my problems? And that reaction is you highlighting those blue dots and giving them life. Because when you highlight them, you give them life, you activate them, okay? So I hope that was helpful and it made sense for you guys. And by the way, feel free to screenshot. And that's the thing. Exactly. There we go. Screenshot for the final result to use as a reminder throughout your day. Perfect. So that's the thing I wanted you guys to do is take a screenshot if you need and save this on your favorites or something, or put in your background if it helps you. And every time you look at it, just be a reminder, wait a minute, that's what mental diet should look like. It's just understanding all things exist and there's 0% benefit to focusing on the part that exists that doesn't serve me. And I know it's easier said than done, but it takes a little bit of practice because you technically practiced going to the bad again and again and again and again. So you kind of have to reverse engineer that for the good now. And that's really all it is, okay? So with that being said, let's move on to the next slide. So how to embody states. And that's the part you guys are all here for. and by the way, I hope you guys are liking this video. And I'm having a lot of fun making this. I kind of want to make another one like as I'm teaching this because it's so fun. So first things first, embodying a state is choosing to embody new beliefs. We start with the idea, the thought of the objective at hand. And that's just something I wrote because it's just how I view it. And think about that, right? It's choosing to embody new beliefs. You already know this. I told you this. It's just a reminder now. And we start with the idea. So let's say I'm manifesting a person. Like right now I don't really have anything. I'm kind of just focusing on money right now. Not that I need it or anything. It's just usually like once a year, I just like to focus on finances and just elevate everything that I'm involved business-wise. And since now I don't really have anything to kind of manifest that's like massive, I figured, hey, why not? Let's do my yearly thing. And so for me right now, let's just say it's finances. So when I think of any of my businesses and I want them thriving and I want them making 50% or 100% more than what they already make, let's say that thought pops in my head, right? I already know that I just have to choose new beliefs. So right now, my beliefs allow me to believe and be aware that my bank account doesn't reflect that I'm making 100% more than I already am making. So that's okay, right? Because where I am, I'm comfy. And obviously it doesn't bother me. I'm thankful I'm in a position where I'm not stressing about money. But I also recognize that that's like a luxury too. And I know that it's a lot harder when you're like, 30 days away from something big happening that's negative. So I get it. But for me, it's like, even when I was there, I still understood there's 0% benefit to staying in the negative. So when I was thinking of money back then as well, I understood I don't know how I'm going to get the money. I'm not even qualified to make the money that I thought I wanted. But I just knew if God is real and this stuff works, then it's possible. Because how could God not make me rich? Like, how could God not figure out how to put money in my pocket? So that's how I viewed it. It's the same thing. So use that if it helps. But anyways, so when that happens, I understand, okay, the idea is in my head. And the idea is I want to be making a lot more than I'm already making. Okay, so let's say hypothetically I'm making $80,000 a month, right? And let's just say I want to be making, so let's go crazy. Let's say $200,000 a month, right? And let's just say, like, for some people that might be absurd. And for some other people, they're like, that's nothing, right? It all depends on you. So let's just say $200,000 a month is what I want to be making from my businesses combined. And it's like, okay, so now that it's here, I understand it's got to change my belief. How do I change a belief? I embody that state, embody that belief. I go straight to what I think it would feel like to have that $200,000 a month income. And when I genuinely think about that, of that $200,000 plus a month as an example. So if I'm manifesting that, then I'm genuine and I'm like, okay, how would I feel? And then boom, I would feel a relief, right? And I would feel that, it's like this weight got lifted off me. And some of you might feel gratitude. Some of you might be thankful. Whatever it is, it's obviously different than what you felt 3 seconds prior. That's how you know that you embody that state. And if you feel nothing, it's okay. Don't panic. The emotion isn't what manifests. It's just an indicator that you're in a different belief system. But even then, indifference is still a feeling, okay? So that's kind of what I mean by, when you focus on the objective of hand. So we now have the ideal in our awareness. This is the moment to remember the drawing and to give life to the ideal and the solution we prefer. 100%. I'm going to put up the next point too. So before we go to the third point, remember that, right? Like that's the whole point of the little drawing I did for you. It's like you understand I'm aware of my 3D reality and then the thought pops in my head. So that's me in the center of that little blue dot. And now I'm drawing the yellow line to highlight what the other blue dot. And then I'm doing that again and again and again. And that's exactly what I was referring to. And that's why I showed you that, right? That's what mental diet looks like. So remember that. It's like if the money pops up in my head as an example, and then it's like, boom, I have to go straight and highlight that dot, that reality that I prefer, because I understand that reality exists. And if that reality exists, that means that I must have the belief system in that reality. And all I got to do is embody that belief system. So how would it feel if I had that extra 200,000 a month coming in, right? Or let's say 500,000 a month. And then it's like, whew, I feel great. I feel so relieved. I'm already thinking like, yeah, I would probably be looking to buy like a third car or something, or like a fourth or fifth car or something. And I'd be looking at real estate to invest in, more things and stuff like that and whatever else. So like that gets my brain going. And just like that, I selected something. So with that being said, how? So first you choose what is natural to you, which we're going to talk about. And it could be anything like, I remember when, how would it feel hearing what you want to be said to you? So audio, and you're going to affirm, script, visualize, doesn't matter, right? So let's touch on what is natural to you. So for me personally, right? And like I talked about this with a client, and with my client, it was literally yeah, probably like, I don't know, maybe 5 hours ago. And, you know, I was kind of teaching them. It's like the way you get there doesn't matter, right? It has to be natural to you. And I explained to her, and I even showed her on the call how I embody states, and I do it through thoughts. I don't do it through, I don't ask myself anymore, how would it feel? Like just because I say it, it's only for your guys' benefit. Because if I was to just embody a state without explaining it, you would just see me smile and feel this relief, and that's it. So I have to verbalize it to kind of show you how to get there. And at one point I used to ask myself, how would it feel if, and then I contemplate if I had that thing, right? And that was very natural to me. And it was so natural that I learned I can get the result, like embody that state without that question anymore. So then I realized, wait, we can just make decisions like that. Let's just embody states like that. And that's what I do now, right? So I sit there and I think to myself, whatever pops up in my head, if I want to experience it, I plant a seed. I just experience, experiencing that thing in that moment. That's the best way to explain it. So if, let's say a nice car drives by, instead of being envious, I'm gonna just understand, hey, if I want that car, that means it's already existing. Creation's finished. So all I have to do is sit there and just accept that it's already done. And then boom, just like that, I feel that relief. I feel proud, and I planted that seed. And all I got to do is let it grow and not contradict it. And let's say it's an SP. She pops up in my head. Same concept. I go to where I want, right? I want to let my heart lead me, right? And that's something that we're going to touch on as well. And I want my heart to show me what it wants the most. And at that time, it might be holding hands. Maybe it's meeting up at an airport, or going somewhere together, or our favorite restaurant, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. But that's like, these are the things that naturally occur to me. They like, I don't have to create those scenes and think to myself, what would imply that we're together? And like, I don't do that. For me, it's like I know what I want in the moment. So when they pop up in my head, I'm aware of the objective. And all I do is I light up those blue states, those blue dots. I light them up, light them up, light them up. And that's all I want you guys doing, okay? And by the way, congratulations, you successfully planted the seed and it's on its way. 100%, right? When you do any of that, that's exactly what happens. You plant the seed and it's on its way. So the reason I say choose what's natural to you is because it makes planting seeds much more fun to you. If, the client that I had today, as an example, she was telling me that, she came from a lot of manifestation based coaches and stuff like that. And she spent a lot of money on these type of teachings. And she explained to me that, pretty much nothing really happened, some movement here and there, but obviously they weren't happy with the results, right? And we all want our results. And when you realize it's not about effort, and that's what she realized too. And if you're watching this, which I know you will be, because I told you that it's going to come out probably in the next day, like feel free to let them know in the comments that you realize, like, yeah, this stuff's easy, like it's way easier than you thought it was. And you felt like, I even heard it in your voice, you felt great, you felt confident, like, oh my god, it's like you were missing something and you finally like got the key. So that's the exact feeling that I want to give to you guys. That's why I make these videos. And that's what you got to remember. It's gentle. It's just understanding like those blue dots are existing everywhere, like all the time. Even right now, as I speak, those other blue dots, those realities are existing right now. And those versions of me in those realities are existing, right? And that's how it works. When you see those blue dots like scattered everywhere, each one symbolizes Earth. Each one symbolizes a different Earth, like a different reality. And in each of those little dots, you're existing in there, as is your person and your objective and everyone involved. They're all there in different realities. There's unlimited versions of everybody, including you and I. And all we're doing is we're selecting. When you go back to the first quote, we're selecting what is already there, right? And by selecting it, that's us choosing. We're embodying, because you feel it first. And by feeling it first, you then understand that that is how you embody that state, okay? So, daily application. Let's get to the fun nitty gritty part. So, number one, you allow the desire to lead you to the preferred experience slash reality, right? And that's what it is. That's what I talked about earlier. Like when let's say I'm manifesting an SP. So let's just assume right now there's someone on my mind and I want to manifest them. It's like, okay, so if that's the case in this example, then I'm walking, living my life, and let's just say like I'm going to the gym, okay? So let's say I go to the gym and let's say they pop up in my head on the way to the gym. I might not feel like fulfilling myself then and there. So right then and there, I kind of filtered it. I like, how do I explain it? It's like when you kind of realize that you're like, you have to make these split second decisions, it becomes natural. And I understand that like right away I have to understand, do I feel like fulfilling myself for her? Yes or no? And if I don't feel like doing a technique, then I don't do it. Like I just let her swim around in my brain. And when that happens, it's okay because I'm not losing any points. I'm not giving any points to fear, but I'm not adding any to faith either, to fulfillment, right? So the score is neutral, and that's fine with me because that means I'm not taking away from the good that I'm going to do. But let's say I arrive at the gym and as I'm getting changed, maybe then I miss her. Maybe then she pops in my head and I miss her. So, okay, good. That means I want to manifest her. That means I crave her now. So I miss her. So good. Right then and there, the decision's already made. Yes, I want to do a technique. So right then and there, I think to myself, okay, what is it that I want right now? And I just listen to my mind. I listen to my heart. And let's say in that moment, it's just I want her jumping in my arms and wrapping her legs around me and just hugging me and hugging her so tight. Like I just want that embrace of like the first time, you know? Like if that's the moment that pops up in my head naturally, great. That the hard part is done. All I have to do now is step into it. All I do now is I just feel what it would feel like. And even with my eyes open, I can just imagine that. And I could just feel that, whew, it's like this lightness just leave your body. And that's what it is, right? And just like that, I identified with it, okay? Number two, now that you're aware of the ideal, you would prefer step into the thought or image through understanding. And that's exactly what I just mentioned, right? So when you realize, and I'm going to put the next ones too, by the way. So when you realize that what I explained is all about just selecting what is already created. That's all it is. You step into the thought, right? Like William Blake would say, step into the image. So for me, it was them jumping in my arms and wrapping their legs around me and us embracing and having that loving moment, right? And when I think about that, whew, it's like you feel it in the chest and it spreads all over the body. And that's the beautiful part about the law. It's like you're identifying with creation is finished. You had no evidence physically with your senses that it was there and that you're experiencing that hug and that moment and that intimacy, but the body still reacted as if it was true. Why? Because you consented to creation is finished, to that probable reality and to those belief systems that would allow you to experience those emotions. And it's that simple, okay? So that's why I love stepping through into the image through understanding. It's not enough to just tell. That's why I told that client that I was like, man, imagine I told you, okay, just do this technique and buy. Like, you'd be so screwed and scared. And it's like, no, that's why I teach the framework. I teach the concepts of the law because the easy part is the stuff that she was told. Affirm, 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 persist, 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 right? And that was the easy part, but she had no idea what to do in between the result and doing techniques. And that's why I love teaching I call it the in the middle or the in between. And because to me, that's the most important. So when you understand the concepts of how the law and the framework of reality works, then how are you afraid? Like, how does it make sense, right? And that's why I want to empower you guys. So now trust that what you did is on the way. And by continuing to embody it, it's guaranteed. So that's number three. And that's why, like, think about it. That's what Abdullah told Neville. Like, Abdullah literally told Neville, I have done it. Which means I embody the state. And he said, I am doing it, which implies In other words, I'm still returning to the States, and I'm going to continue doing it, which still doing the work until that which I have done has manifested, right? When he's telling him this, it's identical to this. He understood, I've planted the seeds and I'm going to continue returning to the wish fulfilled. In other words, returning to the new belief system. And then by doing that, I understand that eventually I'm going to change and my 3D world is going to catch up. And that's why I told, especially my client today, I said that's why I did that video. And I left the like, and there's more than one video, but any like the last 5 videos, a couple times I embody states live on camera, and nothing changes in my 3D then and there, which is evidence that the 3D has a lag. I do it to show you guys like you shouldn't feel like you did anything wrong just because nothing changes. Seth and Neville both talk about the delay for a reason. Do you really think anyone on YouTube knows more than Seth and Neville? Genuinely. I don't personally, even myself. But that's why I say you guys are lucky you found me, because I'm actually teaching from the greatest minds that ever exist, not from some crap I found on the internet. So that's why you got to understand. It's like that makes sense when you think about it. If I embody a state and someone tells you, no, it's instant. Okay, then why didn't I get my result then and there? And that's why I tell you. That's why Abdullah even said it. So you think the person who told you that knows more than Abdullah too? Genuinely, like that's the thing. Like you got to call these people out sometimes, and obviously don't be like, I don't mean start trouble or leave negative comments, by the way, but I mean do it in your mind at the very least. Just be like, no, that's not true, because if that was the case, then why did Abdullah say this? Why did Neville teach that? Why does Seth talk about this? Why does Jane Roberts mention that? Why does Emmett Fox talk about this, and Reverend Ike and blah blah blah? So what, are we gonna say we know better than them? I don't think so. So that's what I want you guys to remember. That's why Abdullah gave that quote to him, because he did it, he's doing it, and he's going to continue to do it until that which he has done manifests into his physical reality. And that's how manifestation is done. You know that because you did the work and you keep planting the seeds, that it's inevitable that it comes sooner than later, as long as you're consistent. And that's the whole point of Abdullah's quote, okay? And if doubts arise or the 3D bothers you, go back to the basics. Who am I? Creation is finished. And what is the 3D? And so on and so on. So for me, the basics, I'll probably do a video, and let me know in the comments, by the way, if you want me to do a video on the basics, which I'm going to touch on. So don't worry, hang tight. But these things, like such as the basics to return to calm yourself down before you embody states, if you guys want me to do a video on that, please comment down below and say, yes, please make a video on the basics, and so on and so on. So I'll get that done for you guys if there's a demand for it. But the basics is just the basic understanding, right? And that's why I'm making the membership soon, and keeping an eye out, because I might even announce something in like a week or two. And by the way, speaking of the membership, before I forget, there's going to be, I decided I'm only going to start with 2 tiers. The third tier, which is going to be probably the one a lot of people want the most. And that one is going to be like the full book club, where you guys study with me, like book by book, page by page, breakdown of paragraph by paragraph, full understanding. That is the one where I guarantee you, like, give me 60 days, 60 to 90 days. I promise you'll know more than 99% of anyone teaching the law on the internet, period. I guarantee you. And because we're going to actually study and learn the law on a deep level on that one. But that being said, I still have to set some things up and figure some things out for that. So the first tier is going to be just very affordable. I'm not going to make it expensive. I want everyone to be able to get it. It's just going to give you access to an extra video minimum per week. It could be 2 or 3, such as these, because I could bang these out in like 20 minutes, to be honest. And with that being said, it's like you're going to get these type of breakdowns. You're going to get access to all the membership videos that pretty much I'll be dropping for the first 2 tiers. So that will allow people to get a lot of extra information and guidance and really learn the law still for a cheap price. And then the middle one is going to be, it's not going to be expensive like the third tier is, but it's not going to be cheap either, because I'm going to put more effort into it. And that one, we're going to do weekly Q&As. So we're going to do live streams every week. That means you get me 4 hours a week minimum. So imagine that. It's like almost getting 4 coaching calls with me. And that alone is like way more than the cost of what it's going to be. So we're also going to do membership videos as well, and we're going to have a lot of things covered. So I still have to figure out the nitty-gritty, what I want to do. Like I said, throw down below what you want regarding the membership. And if you want to add to certain stuff, feel free, because I definitely love taking input from you guys. So regarding that, that's why I bring it up. It's just because if you like this type of video and you like the style of learning and how deep I'm going into this stuff and breaking it down, it's going to be way more in the membership stuff. So that's why, because I want to create a world where we can teach the law, understand it, and then thrive and change the world together. So that's the whole point. So anyways, sorry for the rant. And like I mentioned, for the second tier, it'll be certain things, like maybe I'll allow you guys to, for the second and third tier, to give me your circumstance in my email or something, and then I'll make like a 30-minute video dedicated to just you, and I'll make it public for everybody, all members of all tiers and things like that. So it's like you get free coach, like built-in coaching as well. There's other perks I'm gonna add, but keep an eye out for that if that interests you. Trust me, you guys, through the roof, your guys' knowledge is gonna go crazy. And I used to do this on TikTok and before. And for those of you that were here for the lives, we had success stories daily because of how crazy you guys were going with, you know, the motivation. So, anyways, back to the point with the doubts, right? Right? Like, think about it. I put, who am I? Creation is finished. What is a 3D? These are things that I kind of mention and I touch on because it's so important. That's why I teach the foundation. Anyone that's done a call with me understands that they can vouch. They can say, yeah, he doesn't just tell me do techniques. Like, I spend a lot of time talking about the concepts and how to apply them and how to use them in your daily life, because without the concepts and the understanding of the law and the trust in it, you're just hoping for a result. And when stuff hits the fan, you're just going to be confused and you're going to be afraid, and then you're going to just do more effort and put more focus on the awareness of the problem and failing to understand that you're keeping that problem alive, and so on and so on. So that's why I spend a lot of time teaching the foundations and the concepts, right? So who am I, right? Think about it. When I ask myself, who am I know who I am. I'm a soul that manifested my human body, my vessel, and I identify as Michael, but that's not really who I am. I'm actually a soul, right? I'm all that is. And I, as a soul, I understand that I have access to the human limited mind, and there's something that the soul can tap into, my higher self can tap into something. In other words, God's library of knowledge and power. I can't do that as like me with my human brain. I don't have, like, I can't just do that. But I understand that as a soul, I can tap into that. So I communicate with my soul. It's like a dance, right? And I hold my partner, right? And just like that, I communicate through emotions, through changing states, through changing beliefs. So that's why I say when I embody a state and I feel that, whew, that relief right there, my soul or God understands that. Of course, because we are one. We're the same. We're not separate. I know I make it sound like we're separate, but we're in the same vessel. It's just I kind of separate it for you guys so you guys can kind of see it a little bit easier. So I understand that communication, it knows. That's why Neville said, do you really think that God could be inside you and be this almighty and intelligent, but not know what you mean when you, like, he's like, do you think you can know something that God can't? Like, he's pretty much like, you should be offended, right? So, and that's the truth. So of course I know that they know what I felt and that what it means. And that's why for me, I always return to who I am. I know that I'm God in a human form, and I put on this flesh, which is my garment, and I chose to have amnesia to forget that I'm God, having a human experience to rediscover that I'm God. And that's my point here. Technically, my life on earth is done. Like, if you listen to, like, you study Neville and Seth, they both tell you the purpose of life is pretty much to realize that you're God, or pretty much awaken Jesus in you, right? Your Christ consciousness, and to also teach other people and to bring them to that same awareness and awake and save other souls. And to learn that this is a training ground for image making, or as Seth says, that it's a kindergarten for gods, and so on and so on. And once you figure that out and you learn that in this life, you're done here. You never have to come back here again. I can go probably to the next challenge, or maybe the next life will be way easier. But I made a promise to someone that we're gonna do something in the next life. So I at least have one more life left in me, right? So hopefully you guys see me in that in that life, and I'm still teaching a lot of you guys, and I'm going out with a bang. But yeah, technically a lot of us we're master graduating classes. Congratulations, guys. Literally. So think about it. How does it feel? You're inspiring so many souls just by being here. Even you being afraid, you're inspiring souls because you're still here. So just remember that, guys, okay? So when the doubts come, it's important to remember who you are. The basics, creation is finished, that we're selectors of the law. Go back to what was in the first part. Take screenshots of the little sentences I put, right? Remember what I'm talking about and apply that until next week or until my next video. So just remember that. Have fun with it and put them all together. If you want your results, you can have everything you want. It's just up to you, okay? So with that being said, happy hunting. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Take care, guys.